All right, man. So I think it's about time that small market teams stop blaming the fact that they're in a small market, that they can't get big superstar players or win in free agency because they can't market these guys the way other big market teams can. Because if we just go through the rundown, Zion Williamson is in New Orleans, which is a small market, but he has his own signature sneaker with Jordan Brand, one of the biggest brands in the world. We got Donovan Mitchell with a very successful signature sneaker line in Utah. Now we got LaMelo Ball with his... Wait, hold on. LaMelo Ball has his own signature sneaker? Yes.
Uh-oh, welcome to Big Baller Zone.
All right, so here we are, guys. Puma has officially announced LaMelo Ball's first signature sneaker, at least with Puma, the LaMelo MB.01. I'm actually not too sure how to say the name. It's spelled MB.01, but for the purposes of this video, I'm just gonna call it the Melos. Maybe they didn't want to call it just the Melo ones because that would conflict with Jordan's Melo line, which is no longer active, so that doesn't really make sense. I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of these complicated names. Melo 1 would have been just fine with me. I know it's a nitpick, but anyways, today we're going to be talking about everything about the Melos, the performance, the visuals, when they're coming out. So be sure to let me know if you're interested in this model. Do you plan on picking up a pair for yourself? I'm sure the people over at Puma are going to be, looking all over the internet for reaction videos of their new signature sneakers. So if you want your voice to be heard, go ahead, drop a comment, and don't forget to subscribe for more sneaker related content just like this. But I want to get my first initial raw impressions of these Melos. Like, what was the first thing when I first saw this silhouette? What was the first thing that popped into my mind? And I know this might sound funny, but the first thing that I thought of when I saw these was Klay Thompson.
Why?
Call me crazy if you want, but the Melos really reminded me of the early anti-Klay Thompson signature silhouettes, such as the KT1 as well as the KT2, especially the KT2. I mean, if you look at them side by side, you could obviously see the design similarities, particularly in the back and towards the heel of both silhouettes. They both kind of have this, triangular, geometric design with sculpted midsoles. Now, to me, this is something that I'm not the biggest fan of visually. It's just not my cup of tea. It's not my flavor, but I can appreciate why Puma put this kind of graphic design in the collar area. If you take a closer look at the Melos, you can kind of see this graphic design on the collar, and while it might look like a lotus flower petal type design, it is actually supposed to represent flames because this design is supposed to seamlessly go alongside LaMelo's rocket tattoo, which is on his ankle. So that's a pretty cool design element to me. However, I don't have a rocket tattoo on my ankle. So without the rocket tattoo, this design just kind of doesn't mean a whole lot, and to me doesn't look great visually. So I guess the only solution is to get a rocket tattoo on my ankle. Puma, you gonna pay for that? I'm down if you pay for that. If you pay for that, Puma, I will do it. All right, so moving along to the outsole, obviously the big feature here, at least visually, is that huge rare logo on the forefoot. Now, while this is supposed to represent the fact that LaMelo is a rare talent, an out of this world talent, a true one of one, as you can see with all the branding as well as the marketing that Puma is putting behind Melo, I think this is really interesting because Melo actually did have a signature sneaker before this with Big Baller Brand, and that was essentially designed by Bryant, who was most famous for their rare metal silhouettes, which were not a huge success commercially, but were very popular with the people who did pick up a pair because they offered great visuals, awesome performance, awesome materials, and were just a solid sneaker. So I like how it kind of comes full circle. Melo was essentially with Bryant for a small stint. He had the rare metal kind of looking sneaker, and now his Puma signature silhouette has rare. So I don't know, it's a coincidence, but I kind of like it. Now, the outsole of the Melos do use a translucent rubber, which I know a lot of you guys aren't too keen on. Some people just do not like translucent rubber whatsoever. But as far as the pattern here, I have no problems with it. It looks like it provides great coverage in multiple directions. However, I do have a couple of concerns. First of all, the pattern is really tight, and since translucent rubbers, we know, tend to pick up a little bit more dust than solid rubbers, there is potential here for the outsole to get really dusty. Dust gets stuck in between those small nubs, and it becomes a wipe fest. You're gonna have to wipe every second you get, which isn't the biggest deal, but it's just not as seamless as something that you just don't have to think about, right? You just go out there and play. So that is one concern. Another concern I have is this outsole features a lot of small nubs, which might wear down quickly over time, especially if you're hooping outdoors. So while durability and the dust factor are something that I'm not too sure is going to be great with the Melos, as far as the pattern and as well as Puma's track record with their other basketball silhouettes, they pretty much always featured awesome traction. So hopefully, fingers crossed, the Melos follow suit. I also want to mention that the heel of the Melos reminds me a lot of the outsole of the Kyrie 5, which I had a huge issue with performance-wise. So hopefully the Melos don't make the same mistakes, and that rubber compound is tacky. But you know what? Translucent rubber, you can never be too sure. It's a pretty volatile system. So hopefully Puma came correct with the traction, because we know nothing sucks worse than a sneaker with bad traction. Especially if you're guarding someone with a really quick handle, because I'm just gonna blame the sneakers. Like, oh, you crossed me up? Think again, you didn't. It's the sneakers, dog. All right, so now let's talk about the elephant in the room, the cushioning. This is something that a lot of people are interested in when a new signature sneaker, or really any sneaker, drops. What's the cushioning? What's the cushioning? What is it gonna feel like? That seems to me like the feature that most people are looking forward to. But the problem is Puma has not disclosed what the cushioning in the Melos is going to be. The official product page for the Melos is actually already up on Puma's site. However, there isn't much in the way of anything performance-wise. It actually just says midfoot boot construction and lace closure, which I think is just a fancy way of saying that there's laces on the shoes. But yes, they do not mention anything about the traction, the support features, and most importantly, the cushioning. So what is Puma using on the Melos? Honestly, I don't know, but it does have me worried that Puma didn't announce anything here, because you would think that they would want to announce something, right, to get us excited, especially since Puma has had success in the past with their cushioning tech. The RS Dreamers had RS foam as well as All Pro foam, which was well reviewed. And then you had the Fusion Nitro setup, which was probably Puma's most well-liked cushioning technology. So you would think that if the Melos had any of this tech, Puma would let us know about it now to get us excited, right? To kind of sell us on the idea of a Melo signature sneaker. But instead, they kept the doors closed, they kept their mouths shut. Nothing in the way of description about what is in the cushioning setup of the Melos. If you take a close look at the midsole, trust me, I looked all over. I do not see any branding of technology whatsoever. So I am a little bit concerned that the Melos just use a basic foam setup, especially for the price point at $125, which by the way is an awesome price point, but it isn't all that different from Puma's other basketball silhouettes. So it's not a matter of, hey, we wanted to keep the Melos cheaper so we couldn't add this technology. They could have easily added the tech from their other sneakers, sold us on the name, and gave us an awesome performance ride, but right now the cushioning is TBA. As for the materials, Puma uses a pretty basic mesh and TPU overlay design, which is a great way to keep costs down. Again, that $125 price point I think is perfect for a LaMelo Ball signature sneaker. I actually do like how it looks in the forefoot, the TPU overlays and high wear areas. I like that visual design. I already talked about the collar area and how I'm not a huge fan of that visually, but it is a mesh material, so it should be pretty comfortable. I do, however, have some concerns about the support and the lockdown. There doesn't seem to be that many support features, so hopefully they have an internal heel cup in the heel, which gives us a nice secure lockdown fit for a nice one-to-one experience. But just looking from the outside in without having tried on the shoe, it doesn't look like there's a ton of support or lockdown features, so that is a slight concern of mine. But the good news is that it looks like a minimal setup, which will provide a lightweight experience. So if you're a fan of, lightweight sneakers, this might be right up your alley. But again, it's not a low top, it's a mid top construction. People who prefer low tops just might wish that Puma cut the top off a little bit to make it a true low. However, it's a mid, which is my favorite cut of sneakers. So you guys know I'm absolutely loving that. All right, so now that we got all the tech out of the way, let's just talk about these Melos visually. First, let's talk about that signature logo. Now, to me, I'm not a fan of this logo whatsoever. I get it, Melo probably loves it, and that's awesome for him, but just for me, this reminds me of one of those t-shirts that MMA fans would wear in the early to mid 2000s. Not my flavor, not my style. It's really busy. It's not like clean cut to me. So I'm not a huge fan of Melo's logo. I would love to hear what you guys think about this. But to me, I'm not a huge fan of that branding. But overall, I think it's a decent looking sneaker. It's not awful. It certainly is better than some of Big Baller Brand's early silhouettes. But one thing that I'm not a huge fan of is the colorway. Now, usually, I'm a huge fan of monochromatic colorways, but when you're launching a sneaker, when you're giving people a first look at a design, you want them to be able, at least from a distance, distinguish that shoe from your other designs, right? And from a distance, these Melos just look like a typical Puma basketball sneaker. And in fact, if you didn't see that Puma logo, there's nothing really that special about it. So I do think it was a mistake that Puma launched these in a monochromatic colorway. I mean, I love red, it's my favorite color. There's just no depth with this colorway. Now, with all that being said, I am still very excited for the MB.01s. You guys know me, I always love debut signature sneakers because to me, it's like you're there from the beginning. You get to know what that player likes. You kind of get to know them a little bit more with their first signature sneaker. So I'm very excited about these. It is absolutely an insta cop for me. 125 bucks, that's a solid deal. But let me know what you guys think about the MB.01s in the comment section below. And also, do you think it's a little too early for Melo to be getting his own signature sneaker? I mean, to me, the guy's a bona fide star. I mean, on social media, on the court, he's gonna be an all-star in no time. I think Puma is doing the right thing, getting ahead of the curve. It is a little early to be giving a guy a signature sneaker, but with Melo and the roster of players that you have under your umbrella, I think it's the right move. But let me know what you guys think. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more sneaker related content just like this. My name's Jaren. It's been great having you. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.